Hey, what's up, guys? DREAGEN here with
Ashley.
and today we're doing a trailer reaction for the new Ghost in the Shell trailer. I guess it's the first official trailer. They've been releasing little, like, 6 second, little tidbit clips lately, which really didn't amount to much because I was kind of like, you're better off with just a picture. I can stare at it longer. But so we finally got our first trailer. I've been seeing little kind of pictures of this online, and from what I've been seeing, it looks a lot like the original anime film, which I believe came out in 94, 95. It's based on a manga that ran from 1989 to 1990. I'm going to make sure I say his name right. I believe it's Masamune Shido, or Shido Masamune. I'm not sure. Again, in Japan, they usually say the last name first, surname first, first name last. And in the West, we switch it up. But the title character, or the main character, the Major, aka Motoko Kusanagi, is being played by Scarlett Johansson, which I know has been a bit of a point of contention due to the lack of Kusanagi that's going on all up in this area. But I suspect they're probably going to hopefully have an explanation for that in the plot of the film, but we'll see. So let's check out the trailer right now and see what we think.
Here we go. That's such a cool scene. That was one of the ones from the little short teasers.
I remember seeing this, yeah.
That looks
Is that...
so... That looked just
Oh,
like
I think I know what this is. That opening scene from the film where she unloads.
Jeez. Yikes.
I'm going in.
Yeah, no. Yep, this is right at, wow, almost shot for shot right out of the original animated film. A little less nudity, obviously, but less gory this scene, too. I remember her guns because sometimes they blow people up, but I'm not surprised they didn't go that far hardcore with it.
You are the first that you find,
Ooh.
but you're not invulnerable.
Oh, that's what's her face. She's a good French actress. She was in Godzilla for like 2 seconds. DreamWorks. Yep, I knew they were.
Everyone around me.
Wow. These shots are literally like right out of the film, and I'm sure manga
Yeah,
too.
the visuals look so much. They really, really got them right.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Makes me think of Blade Runner a little bit. Not bad. Yeah, the visual style really feels like the anime right here. Like it
Yeah.
it literally looks like the anime, just with a
Live action form.
live action coat of paint thrown on it. Like this scene right here, I know I saw that in the film. Like I know this scene right here, right away. That's really cool. Oh, is that Bato? Yep.
I don't know who to trust.
Dope eyes. Oh, he looks really good, actually.
I know I have a past. I'll find out who I was.
Yeah, see, they're gonna... No, they're not calling her Motoko Kusanagi. I think that's the whole point. They're gonna explain that that's who she was versus who she is now.
They told you was a lie.
Who are you?
And this is, I think, pulling from later films. If I'm not mistaken. Might be from the sequel. Innocence was a sequel.
Yeah, I read that they're pulling a lot from the Kuze arc from the anime series and then from
Sequel,
Innocence, yeah, the second movie.
Well, there we have it. Ghost in the Shell, the first trailer for the live-action film. What are your initial thoughts?
Scarlett Johansson stuff aside, like the visuals and the tone and everything, it really feels like the anime to me. Like,
It looks like the anime.
yeah, it looks like it. Like, I think
It basically looks like if you were to do the anime live action, the color tone, the palette, the style, the sort of look, or vice versa. If you had done
even
an
like
anime,
the shots and stuff.
yeah, or if you had done like an anime of the movie of live action,
Yeah.
that's how they literally look like they're basically just mirrored images based on the mediums. So yeah, Scarlett Johansson playing the Major. I know that's been a big thing because once again, accusations of whitewashing because. Yes, she's a android, a robotic character, so you could make the argument that who she was before could have been someone who looked very different than who she is now. And they kind of play with that a little bit, especially in the original film. They don't actually say that, yes, you looked exactly like this. I think it's even implied that you could have a different body altogether. But I think it was pretty much obvious that she was referred to at times Motoko Kusanagi, so I think the obvious implication was that, yes, she was a Japanese person before, and she's clearly supposed to look Japanese now. Fast forward to, I don't know, over two decades later, to a big Western Hollywood studio.
Yeah.
You know, in an era where comic book movies, while doing very well, they are Western comic books. Obviously, this is based off anime that is based off a Japanese comic, a manga, which is just the Japanese word for comic. So if people say, well, you know, what's the difference between a comic book and a manga? It's like, well, one is what you call it in Japan, the other is what you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so, and I know a lot of people have had issues with this, and I'm right there with you. I say there's no reason why you can't have a big tentpole film that is starred and led by a Japanese or even just Asian lead, regardless of, you know, if it's supposed to be taken in Japan or it's supposed to be taking place in China, whatever the ethnicity calls for. If they're Japanese in the source material, they should absolutely be Japanese in the live action adaptation. With that said, that's if us or all of you were making this movie. And by making this movie, I don't mean shooting, directing, saying action. I mean
producing,
bankrolling this movie. Now, it's very easy to maybe place blame or kind of thing like Scarlett Johansson or the director of this film. His name escapes me. I know he's the gentleman who did Snow White and the Huntsman.
it's like Robert something.
Yeah, he hasn't done a
his
lot
name.
of. I think prior to this, Snow White and the Huntsman was like his biggest film, and depending how this one turns out, this could become his biggest. But sometimes they make deals with actors to get money on the back end and stuff. But usually, they get a paycheck.
Well,
They have a fee. So to say that they're just thinking money, 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 and that's why they're westernizing everything. No, directors usually, and unless they're on the production side of it too, and actors, they have a fee. Actors make X amount of dollars per movie. Same with directors, so they get a paycheck regardless of how Japanese or whitewashed the movie is. It's the studio that makes its money based off box office return.
Well, and again, it's one of those things where, this is based off an anime, and usually, in the past, movies that have tried to been, adapted from movies or from like games or anime haven't done well. And I think that's another reason. I mean, you got Black Widow as your main star, like.
Yeah, and I think
even if everything else is really unfamiliar, people are gonna be like, "Hey, look, that's Black Widow's new movie."
Yeah, exactly. Basically doing Black,
and especially because Ghost in the Shell is kind of a. I mean, I don't know how much they're gonna go into it, but like the movie and the anime, it's all really kind of like. It's very deep.
Very cerebral.
So,
there's a lot of action, to be sure, so it's definitely not light on that. But
it's kind of a philosophical
anime.
So.
I hope they get into that in the movie.
Well, I'm assuming they
it looks like it is. It looks like
Yeah.
they're not shying away from that. But when they say, well, why cast a white person in a role that was pretty, again, they never came out and flat out said it, but it's pretty obvious if you read it or watch it that, yeah, she's supposed to be Japanese, even in the android body. Well, it's because from the studio's perspective, and I don't agree. I don't want to, because otherwise I know we're going to see like a million comments like, oh, blah, 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 you're white. No, you're right. We're of the non-Kusanagi persuasion.
Wow.
You're right. But I'm with you that I don't have a problem, and I don't think the masses would either. I don't really think people would really care if you had cast
It's
in
the old white men that run Hollywood.
But yeah, exactly. It's the old, rich, white dudes who run Tinseltown who think that we're not ready. But with that said, and I for some of you who are younger, and this isn't me, pulling the Gen X card or anything, but I grew up in a time where if you were even lucky enough to see a film that was Japanese-esque, like there were some films in the 90s like Johnny Mnemonic or Death Machine, which are kind of cyberpunky, kind of very that Japanese anime genre feel, loaded up with white people. Johnny Mnemonic was basically the Matrix before the Matrix, and Keanu Reeves basically playing Neo before he played Neo. And to put things in perspective, you had a Buddhist monk character that was played by Dolph Lundgren, a giant Swedish dude, okay? Me, but more of me. I'm 6'4". This dude's like 6'7", so he's like me on steroids, playing a Buddhist monk. Would have made more sense to maybe have cast like an Asian character, an actor, but no, we're gonna go with Dolph Lundgren, okay? That was the 90s. Fast forward now to 2016 when I see an adaptation of a Japanese property, and I see it's almost perfect. it's like 98% there. The only thing that make it not 99 or 100 is that Scarlett Johansson being Caucasian, the fact that she's not more naked. If you watch the anime, that bodysuit was a lot less suit and more body, and it's obviously not as, the violence isn't as quite as graphic.
I think it's rated PG-13.
Yeah,
so.
which who knows? There could be a director's cut of this.
Yeah.
But so the lack of nudity, the graphicness of the violence, and the fact that she's white, not Japanese, is what knocks out that 2%. With that said, we have an adaptation from Hollywood based on a Japanese property that's 98% perfect. When people say we haven't come very far, no. I've been there for a while now. Believe me, we would have never have gotten anything this close once upon a time. With that said, the stuff that they're not getting, the ethnicity, I understand it's not just an aesthetic. It's not just, well, I couldn't see Scarlett Johansson's nipples where in the anime I could see the character's nipples quite clearly. It was rather prominent, actually. I get it. That's more of a superficial thing. We're talking about cultural empowerment. Like, here's a character that was an Asian character, basically their equivalent of a superhero. Why can't we be represented? And by we, I mean, obviously when I'm speaking as if I was of the Asian persuasion. Did not mean for it to be ironically rhyming there. I apologize. I'm not making light of it. I know, because I can feel people's fingertips burning. Like, ooh, you white son of a bitch! No. I'm with you. I would have loved nothing more if everyone was cast accordingly. With that said, this is the world we live in. So, how do we get to a point where everyone who should be Asian in a movie is Asian? The movies that come pretty damn close need to make money. Hollywood needs to see, these studios need to see that they can, and right now there's no big A-list, really Asian lead. People are known.
Well, and to be fair, they've never been giving the roles,
Exactly. Which means when it does happen, it's probably going to be a relative unknown. So not only are you going to be having, for really the first time ever in a big tentpole movie like this, an Asian actor or actress, it'll be someone they don't know. You won't be able to kind of really rely on like a marquee name. Because right now, in terms of like a big A-list Japanese actor or actress in America that can speak perfect English, like, we don't have that because it's never been done. So it will be an unknown. So that's a double, in the studio's eyes, not mine, but in the studio's eyes.
That's when you go, hey Disney, put an Asian American in Star Wars.
Yeah, well, and that's my point. But so we're almost there.
Yeah.
If this movie does very well, like it makes money and it's critically received, it's received well by the fans, that tells the studio, okay, we were so close to doing it. Now we can take that last step, and we'll believe in it. We all know it can work. We know it can work. You guys know it can work. We're not afraid of seeing people of different ethnicity, different cultural background on the big screen leading a film. But like I said, there are a lot of old, rich white guys in Hollywood who come from a bygone era who aren't quite as caught up with the rest of us.
All I'm gonna say is, remember Dragon Ball Evolution?
Yeah. There's a dead horse that we can kind of dig up and kick a few more times. But
At least this is almost there.
Yeah, and
that had everything wrong.
Exactly. So, again, Scarlett Johansson looks like she's giving it her all, and the director of the films, the animated films, was on set working with this team.
Yeah, Mamoru Oshii, I believe his name is. But yeah, I guess he came over and was helping work on the visuals. That explains a lot. Yeah, and he was even saying that, and I'm sure it's, obvious why
they chose that clip.
Yeah, but he was saying that, Scarlett Johansson was doing a really good job, and that the whole film as a whole looked really gorgeous and was going to be kind of a good addition to the anime movies.
Yeah. And again, and what they interesting they did like a poll or whatever. Like they talked to a lot of Japanese people in Tokyo on the streets.
Well, when the casting was first announced,
yeah. And they even talked and most of them said or I think pretty much all of them said, well, so what? We don't care. I mean, I think
Scarlett Johansson's cool.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think they're used to it too, because obviously, it's a story that takes place in Japan by Japanese people. Obviously, there's not a lot of Japan is not really a melting pot, so it kind of default. But I think they just kind of assume, well, if it's made by a Western studio. And here's the thing too. I mean, ironically enough, they do the same thing, but in reverse. When you look at the Attack on Titan movie, that's a story where, with the exception of one character, everyone's white, and they even make a point of saying that. And they made the live action movie, and they changed it where everyone is Japanese now,
Yeah.
obviously, and I know they're doing a Full Metal Alchemist
Yeah.
movie, which again, unless they hire abroad, it's going to be a similar thing where they're going to.
But again, it's not a big thing over there
Yeah.
like it is over
Yeah,
here.
and again,
so.
I understand. I'm not saying whatever, get over it. No, don't get over it. You have an absolutely right. But at the end of the day, first and foremost, is the movie good? There's it's like kind of the whole Last Airbender thing where obviously a castaway, and I always said, wow, there was no reason for them, and it was bad. But at the end of the day, I was like, all right, at the very least, is the movie entertaining? I didn't think so.
Well, it failed on every aspect.
Yeah. So that was my thing. But at the very least, like, okay, is the movie good? So at least with a situation like this where she's an android, which means she's switched bodies, at least there is a narrative explanation of why she can be a white person or have a robotic body that's white, and maybe once upon a time before that and I think that's because again, they're not calling her Motoko Kusanagi in the trailer. They refer to her as the Major.
Even on IMDb, she's just listed as the Major.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be, they're probably going to, she's obviously trying to figure out who she was before, and I think that's where they're going to be like, okay, you were Motoko Kusanagi before, this is a Japanese person. In a perfect world, she would have been Motoko Kusanagi. Still, yes, but right now, this is the closest we're going to get it, and while, yes, you have every right to be upset, and I'm not faulting you one bit, be upset, but if you want to get to that point where you see that poster outside of the movie theater for your big budget Hollywood tentpole film with an Asian actor on the front, this movie and any other movie like this that comes out around this time needs to do well, because at the end of the day, the studio doesn't care about right, wrong, racism. They want money. Yep, that's all they care about. Normally I say you want to hurt somebody, cares about money, you got to hit them in their wallet. In this case, it's the reverse. You have to give them money for them to care, because if they see that, this is the closest we've ever followed to the Japanese property. Okay, and it made more money. It made more money than the previous thing we did, where we whitewashed it even more. And so basically, the closer we get to making it completely authentic, the more money we make.
It looks like there's a good majority of Asian people, Japanese actors in the cast.
It seems like, really, from what I'm seeing of the cast and even this trailer now, the only person that was meant to be Japanese in the source material that isn't Japanese in the movie is the Major. Everybody else seems to be cast, according to the right ethnicity. So
what was Bato supposed to be? Was he not?
I'm pretty sure Bato was meant to be like a white guy.
He'd be super jacked Asian, but
yeah, based on his appearance, and that's the thing about too with anime. Obviously,
it's always hard to tell.
Even characters that are meant to be Japanese, the way that they're drawn, it's hard to tell because it's a very stylized style. Not saying that gives again. I know. Please.
This whole thing is a touchy subject.
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, like a lot of people, I want to see Asian leads in Western cinema, especially when it's based on a Eastern property. And easy way out is Japan should make the Ghost in the Shell movie, but they're not. Hollywood is. So if we want to get to a point where we can see these kinds of films being made on both sides of the Pacific properly, accurately, they need to do well. That's just the fact of it. So you can, if you want to boycott this film, if you want to not support it, that is within your right. And I'm not going to tell you shouldn't, because at the end of the day, I'm still a white guy, and it's very easy for me to say, because there's not exactly a shortage of white male leads in Western cinema. So it's very easy for me to be like, hey, you know what? This is the way it's got to be. We got to support these films so we can get to that point. But and the flip side, you can just tell me, shut up, you privileged piece of shit. I understand. So please know that I'm not saying this from a perspective of like, hey, shut up, it's just a movie, get over it. No. Be upset, be frustrated, and feel the way you do. But if you still want to see that movie one day, this is how we have to support these movies along the way. And like I said, the people involved in making this film on the creative level, again, writer, director, actors, I think they all really, really care about it. Because again, whether this movie makes $1 billion or not, they got paid. They made their money. When Scarlett Johansson signed her name, she got her check, she's good to go. It's the studios that cringe when these movies don't
Yeah.
make the money, because that's how they make their money. It's box office return. So usually with these movies, if it was up to the director, this and that, yep, they would make these movies as authentic as they can, but they still have to answer to that studio, the studio system. That's the reality. And they're trying to, and it looked like they probably tried to make this movie as close to the source material as they could, going as far as even bringing the director of the actual anime on board to help out with the visual style. So they're doing as much as the studio is letting them do, and something tells me they probably pushed for even more too to get it this close. But the studio's probably like, we want a big name female lead for this film. We want a marquee name. And because right now there are no big Asian Western, because it would probably have to be like a Japanese American, because that's the other thing too. They would want someone, if there's going to be Japanese, they have to speak English, and they would want someone with an American accent. That's probably how they would go. So it would have to be a Japanese-American actress. And there's no big A-list Japanese-American actress right now. Again, I know what they say, well, they should just cast an unknown so we can get one. Yes, in a perfect world, but right now we don't live in that perfect world yet. So maybe if we get one as a side character in one of these films and she becomes very popular, then the next time they do one of these movies. Yeah. But right now, this is where we're at. So I guarantee you that was the studio's stipulation. Big name actress. Well, who do we know for female actresses who kick butt in tight outfits?
Because Scarlett Johansson, she's kind of being typecast, but
she's good. I like her, and that's the thing. I like her for better or for worse. She's good at these roles. I mean, again, it's like growing up back in the day. You had Schwarzenegger films, Stallone films, Van Damme films. They always cast these guys. And now it seems like Liam Neeson, ever since he started doing the Taken movies,
he became an action guy.
Yeah, and which is fine. But he's good at him. People like watching these guys. So it's almost like people say, "There goes Scarlett Johansson doing this again." Yeah, but people turn out and pay money when she does do it. So obviously, we like seeing her do it. I've seen her play other roles where she really branches out. I mean, check her out in Under the Skin if you haven't seen it. But probably her best performance. Doesn't change the facts. When you need an ass-kicking female, she's good at it, and she's a box office name. She's a big name. So that's the sacrifice they have to do. But at least they cast someone who, ethnicity aside, can play the role in every other way.
Yeah.
So that's the world we live in. So if you're of the opinion that we'd rather have it all or nothing at all, okay, that's fair. That's you're entitled to that opinion, and I won't fault you for it, because I can understand why you would feel that way. But if you see a day where we can have an Asian lead, well, these are the steps we have to take. This is the bridge we have to cross first. So, I think it looks really, really good. It looks closer to the anime and the manga than I ever thought it would when I first heard about it. I thought it was going to be like, okay, it's a futuristic kind of, robot thing, but I thought it was going to look very, very different. The fact that it's almost some scenes are shot for shot like the anime is more than I ever thought. So, yeah. And I want to apologize for looking like a wet dog on here, too. I was in the shower when she told me, like, the Ghost in the Shell trailer's up. So I was like, oh, snap. So I, dried off as fast as I can. So that's why I have this luscious sheen to me right now. But anything else you want to say? I know I kind of rambled a lot, but I mean, obviously, I think you like it, right?
Oh yeah, no, it looks visually, again, it looks stunning. Like the cinematography, everything, like it looks promising.
Yeah, but again, like I said, I mean, bit of controversy around it, sure. Hopefully, maybe some more trailers or drops with it, not too distant future, and we get a little bit more, and just again. We'll in the description, in addition to putting the trailer, we'll put that little behind the scenes they had where they had the director of the anime films talking, so you can kind of see a little bit of that perspective. And I'll also put in the trailer for the original animated film, so you guys can kind of...
Which, if you haven't seen, go watch it.
Yeah,
it's
but
amazing.
If you're wondering what we mean by how closely it looks, you can watch that trailer and then watch this one. You can really see how closely they resemble one another. So, yeah, so that's our reaction to the Ghost in the Shell trailer, the first one. I'm excited for it. I'm looking for it. I'm going to go see it. But with all that said, I fully understand the controversy that surrounds it, and I respect it. So how you choose to feel about it is entirely up to you, and you are entitled to it. So that's going to do it for us on this one. Keep checking in for the channel for more reaction videos of this kind. There's a big one on the way that I'm looking forward to. Maybe a little bit of pun intended. Maybe some of you know which trailer I'm talking about that's coming. But anyway, we'll get to that one when it gets here. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace!